Thanks for having us. My name is Pete McCoubrey. I'm here to say that it has been 46 years since the release of Caddyshack, 26 years since the release of Happy Gilmore, and 26 years since the release of Tin Cup, and also 3 days since Joaquim, Colby just told me, Neiman, won his first ever LIV tournament. So all of this leads to that, and that is this. And Colby, what is this?
Thank you, Pete. This is the How We Live podcast, which is a podcast dedicated to LIV Golf, focusing on all things the league, news, players, events. We'll dabble into a little bit of the drama as things go along, but regarding other leagues and what's happening. But really, there's so much happening within this league in particular. Other leagues outside of this, obviously with New PGA, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But we wanted to keep everybody updated. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And what we'd like to kind of do is just lay out the episodes as they're going to go and just kind of lay it out so we can play it out. So we're going to structure it through really a 3-4 point structure. We're going to start out with our tee shot, which is really the big story of the day. Coming out of the weekend, obviously coming off of Mayakoba in Mexico. And then also with the mulligan of the week, kind of that, could have done this a little better. But follow that with the approach, which is team news and just general news. Two putt, which is our final two thoughts. And then, of course, the 19th hole, where you'll be able to get a deep understanding of both Pete and myself, a personal golf journey. So don't forget to like, subscribe. Please comment in the comment section. So, Pete, let's go ahead and we'll tee it off here.
Yeah, let's do it. We have Joaquim Neiman winning his first ever LIV tournament, a Chilean. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. It was really the first time for me kind of digging into a LIV Golf televised event. I did tune in on the CW app on Friday. Watched it on CW TV on Saturday and Sunday. I was kind of taken back. It was a different experience all in all, just being used to watching PGA events. But I liked it. I felt very comfortable as a weekend warrior golfer and just general enthusiast of the game. It seemed like a scene down in Mexico that I would definitely appreciate.
Yeah, now I watched it myself too. And how do we feel about the CW? I personally feel like they're overdoing it graphics wise. It looks like it's great coverage. They have great camera angles, but there's a lot of I think the team names are bad enough, but to have them constantly on the left, it's like any given Sunday fake team names, and they're constantly going. Can we pull out of that and just see some guys waxing balls?
I mean, for me, being focused into the teams, just kind of looking into who's on what team and what's happening, obviously with John Rahm and the Legion 13, the almighty Roman Empire Legion 13 coming in. Focus on that. Focus on some of the teams that we were looking at in episode 1. Dustin Johnson. I was kind of hoping that Brooks Koepka's team would have performed a little bit better, but very surprised by Louis Oosthuizen and his team being able to drive up. I think they came in second out of the team's competition, so that was pretty cool. Going into a four-hole playoff, very first tournament of the year, there's a lot of things going on, but from the cancellation of the PGA event that weekend due to rain, and then all the focus going into LIV, there was a big uproar on the X's and the Twitters going on about that whole situation. But I was kind of taken back. It was fun to watch. One thing that I wish, and this is I'll talk about this in my two putt as well. But at the same time, it was I wish that because it's a shotgun start, you don't really know. They don't emphasize what hole the actual individual player is on.
Right.
It might pop up a little bit hey, we're on hole 10. Does that mean they're on the 10th hole? Or does that mean that they've played 10 or played 9 and they're on the 10th? What does that actually mean? I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, obviously, huge efforts. The third and final round on Sunday out of Hatton, and out of the rookie, Caleb Surratt. We gotta get. He's 19 years old. I mean,
he's 19 years old.
Yeah, he's 19. He won. He did not win. I mean, he won in life.
His team won, though.
Yeah, his team won. He won.
He did win, and that's. I did the math. After taxes, $275,000
per man.
Per man.
For the individual after taxes, I take that. At 19, what was the most you made at 19 years old? What were you doing? Oh, bless you. Jeez. Yeah. What were you? You don't have to get upset about it. What were you doing at 19 to earn 200 and what'd you say? 75,000?
275,000. Yeah.
What did you do when you were 19 to do that?
I was living with you, and if I had $27 in the bank account, that was amazing. And the thing is, that's equally as amazing. He didn't even play well. Because if you look at the team scores, Legion 13, that's who won. They split $3 million, I believe.
Something like that. We should actually look at it.
That kid shot 4 over, 2 over.
I don't know. So he had a triple or a quad day 3, and then came after that with a few birdies in a row. And I think he finished pretty good. Like he finished like -6, -7. We should probably look that up. We probably should know that.
No, you should. He didn't though.
So Caleb's Surratt birdies his last 5 holes to secure the tied for 13th out of 54 players, which is pretty good at 19 years old. $350,000 check. And helped Legion 13 to a team title out of our buddy Brentley Romine on Twitter or X, which is incredible. $350,000. The kid was a sophomore at Tennessee.
Yeah.
We got to get this kid on. When he arrived in Las Vegas, the young Surratt could not check into his hotel room because he was under 21. I actually saw this. Tyrell Hatton was interviewed, and Tyrell Hatton had to vouch for him and be like, yeah, you can put it under me, guardian of this little guy. This little guy over here. But, that's the part of starting. So, yeah.
I think that's one of the best things about team golf. You and I played some team golf together. If you're on a good team, if you have John Rahm on your team, you don't need to be that good. And you can still win.
It's helpful. I mean, Hatton had a big day. Rahm had a big day. Surratt pulled through. I think the only one that didn't have a big day on their team, if you were to ask me, would probably be the new what looks like twin brother out of the team, who is, of course, that I'm talking about, is Kieran Vincent, a curly-haired guy, and his brother plays in the league as well, which is interesting.
Team golf is great. You can have one guy who's not that great, you can still win. But the one guy who did win, Joaquin Neiman, I think I looked it up during. He's won like $3 million on the PGA, so he's fine. But he basically won that back with this playoff win.
Yeah. I think he's done well. I think his most recent win was at the Australian Open, so he's coming off like a pretty big win anyways into this. So he's going up a guy against Sergio. Also hasn't won a LIV Golf tournament, which I thought was also interesting hearing over the weekend. Just kind of figured a guy like Sergio would be able to pull it through. But going into a 4-hole playoff, and as they go and they finish the third round, the referee comes out and is like, look, or the judge or whatever comes out like, look, what do you guys want to do? They both look at each other like, let's go. Vamos. Back to the tee box and said, okay, boys, we're going to go ahead and do this one more time. And sure enough, Sergio comes in and just chunks one, a little bit of a slice over into the rough just in front of the sand trap, which probably would have been better if he was in the sand trap. And Flaherty comes in with his, nestled in there like a gerbil reference. And sure enough, Joaquin puts it right on the green and goes for the win. In the dark, they turn the Jumbotron on as a light. There's blasted lights on the green. Pretty impressive.
How do you feel about the playoff just being the same hole over and over again? I
Do they
can't
play
tell
the same?
if it's good or bad.
Do they play the same hole? I'm trying
Yeah,
to think.
just they just played the same hole, 18 over and over again.
Well, I imagine some logistics went into it too, because there's probably only so many holes that they can get to quickly that have a jumbotron sitting on them that they could
Yeah.
illuminate the course. It's not normally an illuminated course, and it was dark on the
Now here's a
last one.
question.
But like, do you sacrifice that and say, okay, you know what, we'll start up tomorrow for first thing after I'm like,
No,
you know,
you don't.
on,
Here's what you do, because Liv is doing a good job of breaking like these like staunchy, weird, old school golf rules. Just drive them back. I watched on CW Sergio and Joaquin just walk back and forth. Just drive those guys back. Save a bunch of time.
and you gotta walk off the juices. You know, you gotta calm the nerves. You just drive zip right back there, like you expected to have another excellent shot again and again. I guess at that rate, yeah, the answer is yes.
So another thing I wanted to bring up when I made my notes 20 minutes ago is there's a different feel to Live in that uh, Joaquin and Sergio are walking down together in a playoff hole. There's like millions of dollars on the line, and they're just kind of like having a good time, yucking it up. And I'm wondering, so for me, that's like I've played against you in golf. I hate you whenever we play. I want to win, and there's zero money. It's just like whoever gets to talk at the end of the night. But these guys
Definitely,
have
yeah.
$3 million on the line. Is that good or bad? I think it's kind of great. Like they don't care, or they do.
So there was definitely one thing. It seemed like there was it was competitive, but it had like a relaxed feel to it. But it was also for me, like it was also like the NFL red zone for golf. It was like everybody's shooting off at once. It's like boom. It's like it literally is like a shotgun start. You're jettisoned out of the shotgun. You're in it, and like all of a sudden it's Brooks and Dustin and Bryson and obviously Joaquin and you know John Rahm. Everybody just like teeing it off, and they're like, okay, we're gonna flash it over to here, flash it over there, and then it's like, here's this ridiculous shot. Here's Joaquin, you know, putting it on the cart path. Here's you know, so and so chipping out of the sand. It was incredible, but it at first it was overwhelming, but just like red zone, you just gotta sit back
Yeah.
and you just
You gotta get used to it.
you
It's like
can't fight. You just gotta take it in. Where I can understand why somebody like, you know, listening and watching, like there's the music event that's going on there, and so you can hear music playing while they're on the course, and they're still playing with it. But again, as a golfer that listens to music constantly out on the course, it didn't phase me. It wasn't like, oh my god, that's so distracting. I'm like, oh, there's a party going on, because that's the environment they want to create for the people that are going to buy a ticket to a live event.
right, and
So
they should. It's way more enjoyable. I liked that they were. Live has definitely a feel of like guys that are kind of like you and I, just playing golf, and it's a good time. They're wearing shorts. They're listening to music. Uh, they're
first
not.
impressions of John Rahm in shorts. What do you think?
John Rahm, I think he's number one in the world, probably
Yeah.
best golfer in the world.
Yeah.
Looks like he hasn't taken care of himself once in his life.
So I saw him at the PGA Championship last May, and he is. What's his? We got to look up what his height and weight is, but he's also built like a tight end. He looks huge. Granted, I was probably like in a gully, and I'm not a big guy, 5'9", 5'10" on a good day, but at the
Yeah.
same time,
5'9".
he looked like he was shoulder to shoulder with like Brooks Koepka, also a massive individual, pretty impressive guy. But you know, it's
But doesn't maybe
dude
not impressive.
looks bigger in person than he does on camera. Is what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is that look at some of these guys like John Rahm. Koepka's, I guess, an exception. John Daly is the name I'm looking for. It doesn't seem to matter that they're just kind of messes.
I know. Well, it's because it doesn't matter for them. They just get out there and crush the ball, have a good time doing it.
But
Just, you know,
there's no like rhyme or reason as to who's gonna do like John Daly's kind of a fat mess. Then you have Tiger Woods, Brooke Koepka. Those guys are in really good shape. They crush it. But then you got Joaquin, who appeared to be like 87 pounds total.
Yeah, and
And
90,
he's
I
doing
think.
fine either. So like it's like what's the standard there?
There is no standard. It's just if you can play, then you can stay. I think another takeaway for me is a guy like Dean Burmester on the Stinger team, hanging with the guys for a little bit. I think it's kind of cool when you get a guy who's been on the LIV circuit who's playing up with obviously John Rahm, Joaquin Neiman, who's been on LIV for a while, and obviously Sergio Garcia has been at the inception. But Dean Burmester, another great guy on the Stingers, who are ready to go. So that's kind of exciting. I mean, it was all very competitive. It wasn't bad golf, and it wasn't non-competitive golf, and it wasn't in an environment that seemed like a great time. I mean, what more do you want? Pete, kind of continuing on here, what do you think? What about? I mean, we kind of went in a little bit, like mulligan of the week, for you. Whether it's
for
what's
me,
that?
Mulligan of the week is an easy one for me.
Yeah,
And it's Rory, who has been, in my opinion, the worst person in golf
it's
for
quite
the last couple of years, ever since the LIV came to be. Just been up on a soapbox, up on a high horse. He's wearing a powdered wig. He seems to always talk like he has tears in his eyes about how bad it is and how he's taken a moral stand against it, which I don't understand. He's sponsored by Nike, and he plays at Augusta National, so he has no moral leg to stand on. But he's just been this guy who's like, this is the worst possible thing. It's the best possible thing. Get people talking about golf. And then this past week, he's really changed his tune. He took a big time mulligan and has basically said, like, LIV's good for the game, and anyone that plays LIV should be allowed to play in the majors. Which you wonder why that is. Maybe he's just
said, like, anybody who's eligible. That was like the key word. Like, anybody who's eligible to play in the majors should be able to play. So it's like, what does that mean? I feel like that word was chosen kind of specifically, but yeah, it's like I said, it's interesting. Like, there's a lot going on amongst like a bunch of leagues, but obviously the PGA and LIV have a lot they got to figure out. Understand? I think it's Rory's coming around. Much like a lot of people that actually came around and tuned in on Sunday to watch the final round, and then got a 4-hole playoff, which is a great return on your investment as far as watching competitive golf goes. So I'm sure a lot of the PGA's guys probably tuned in. We'll have to ask them that when we have them all on. But I think my mulligan of the week. So Richard Bland, who's on the Cleeks squad, watching kind of the opening show before the Friday golf broadcast, and they go up to Richard Bland. Apparently, was feeling under the weather. Go up to him, and they never really reference what it is, but based on his face, they get him at the driving range. He goes, "Boy," he's like, "I felt better." And they're like, "Really? Do you want to talk about it?" He's like, "No, it's running against a few guys here." He kind of looks around, gives a nod down the tee box of the driving range, and everybody looks at him, probably grabs their gut a little bit, but I always call that the south of the border roulette. Anytime you go down there, you get overzealous on night one, you eat a little too much, you're going to get driving range gut rot. And that seems what has also happened. So that was one that they kind of interesting choice where they tried to go in and just expose Richard Bland's GI issue, and try to get him to liven up a little bit and talk about it. Why I do that, I don't know. You have John Rahm standing like 16 feet away as the newest member and assembled the team in a matter of weeks. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm just looking for content.
I think that's good, though. I said this last week. The PGA or just golf in general is so focused on just like one guy.
Yeah.
You
get to expose our senior guy out there. Also, a guy like Richard Bland, when he on his birthday, I can't remember if it was round 2 or round 3, hits a hole in one on his birthday. Not first ever, seventh ace during the live league. Pretty impressive on his birthday, 51 years old. Come on. Second mulligan that I had was Joaquin Neiman's. Oh yeah, what?
I mean, you can, but that's not how mulligans work. But go ahead.
Well, one on the front, one on the back, Pete.
Yeah, that's true.
So 1/9. Joaquin Neiman's second stroke penalty during round 2, where he was penalized for dropping it in the incorrect place, but the guy got tagged 2 strokes and still came out with a W, which is crazy to think about too.
Speaking of, I'll take my second mulligan now that I'm hearing that's the rule.
You get one on the back 9.
His first tee shot on the first playoff hole was like if you and I hit it. He just whacked it into the woods and then it hit a tree and he got a pretty good lie out of the deal.
You kind of think a little bit, kind of going against it, like, all right, guys, like fourth hole, playoff hole, like one of you guys has to kind of pull it away here. Like we only have so much. We have no more commercials left to show. We're at the end of the broadcasting period, and you need to finish up because every second is costing us money. We're paying rent.
And now a moment for our sponsor. A Wink or a Nod Marketing is a new boutique marketing agency specifically designed for small businesses. If you are too busy or simply just don't know how to run social media, build a brand plan, or write copy, go to winkoranod.com.
All right, let's continue on to our approach section here, which is really just about team news, general news. Pete, any news that you like to take home and really discuss at the moment?
No.
Okay, good. Because I got a couple things. So within the last week, the SSG, or the Strategic Sports Group, has recently made a $3 billion investment in the PGA, giving all sorts of fanfare to what's going on with the PGA, what's this going to look like. Really, basically, it offers nearly 200 PGA Tour players equity within this newly formed company, and the ability to essentially get what the now LIV Golf captains get with equity within their own team brand and business and all that.
Can I interrupt real quick? Is there a chance that your friend Rory, knowing this information, can't stand his own hypocrisy, and so he had to say...
Just settle down. Let me get through the news here. So SSG includes essentially a bunch of baseball owners. You have the Fenway Sports Group. You have the owners of Liverpool Football Club, which is a good throw in there, and then the Red Sox, Pittsburgh Penguins, the Atlanta Falcons, Mets owner. It's kind of interesting. So you take that into account. Okay, $3 billion into a league. That's great for obviously those 200-ish players are going to get equity. They're going to get more money. There's going to be interesting developments within the PGA itself, where people just get more money. And I know that that's what people have thought about LIV as a whole. I kind of find it interesting too. Like now you have the indoor league that's going, and there's a team element to that. They're like incorporating a lot of that stuff into the PGA right now. And like you said, the level of hypocrisy. I mean, there's a lot of that going on too, because they also counted last weekend's PGA event as a contributor to FedEx points, and it was only 54 holes because the last day got rained out, and people are freaking out on the interwebs about that. So, it is what it is. But we're just bringing the news there. It's gonna go. To put it into context, though, I think that obviously LIV Golf and the Public Investment Fund, the PIF, as it's known, the PIF, according to CNN, this past summer in 2023, was worth up to $650 billion, with aspirations to reach $1 trillion. Kind of digging a little deeper into the PIF too, it's also interesting to note that when Elon Musk was looking to purchasing Twitter, now X, he reached out to the PIF directly for funding to do that. So you have that funding.
Elon Musk was reaching out to people for funding.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? There's no point in spending your own money.
That's true.
Hey, Elon?
That guy's, he's worth some money.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you think about investing in him, you're going to get a return on that investment too. He just makes stuff work. For example, Tesla. Another large shareholder of Tesla is the PIF.
I think it's very interesting because, like you said, it sounds like there's an adaptation of a bunch of the stuff that we love about LIV Golf. 54 holes. I know that was a weather situation, but trying to make it more accessible. Maybe it's the virtual golf, but
I
I think LIV has struck something, and like it just appeals to maybe more people, literally and
think
metaphorically.
I think they're going after people that go to Top Golf. They're going after people that go to like Pop's Place, the Tiger Woods, miniature golf areas that have restaurants and bars and all that other stuff. I mean, they're going after that demographic. They're trying to get a younger demographic instead of like the. I mean, obviously the PGA is growing in its youthful demographic size, but at the same time, you look at just the ratings. The ratings went up as soon as the PGA event was canceled for round 4. They went up on the LIV Golf Day 3 event, which is beautiful, Mayakoba, Mexico. On Day 3 of the event, the ratings went up this year from last year on the same round of the event by like 48%, something crazy. They almost like tripled their growth.
Yeah.
Year over year, and it's because people are like, it's on, let's check it out, and people actually engaged with it. Like they actually stuck around and watched because you have great players. It's being thrown in your face faster than you can actually digest it, and it was pretty interesting. So it's like going back to the I don't know, the media reaction to like PIF and Saudi money and all this other stuff. It's in everything that, so everybody on Twitter is contributing to it because they're helping that out. And you think about Tesla and how much other stuff that the PIF is actually invested in that people use on a day-to-day basis without being asked, like, do you feel comfortable in accepting this type of money? It's like, it's bettering the community. The power behind it is doing well and people enjoy it. Like, what do you want to do? You have to move on at a certain point, or you have to at least understand what's going on and understand like how people can adjust to it, and again, just take advantage of a great platform that is golf via LIV.
I mean,
and people did on Sunday last week.
And I think you know this about me. My favorite sport is football. I love it. I love the Patriots.
Fair enough.
There's probably not any good, but I'll watch any football team play against each other. And if I can't get the NFL, if the CFL, if Canadian Football League is on, or if there's like a high school tournament, I'm just going to watch football because it's great. That, I think, goes for golf. But the difference is there's not a huge drop off. Like if I'm watching, I want to watch the NFL, but when football season's over, I'll watch the CFL. It's a way worse league. The players are way worse. That doesn't exist in LIV. Like you can turn off some random PGA Tour event and then still get John Rahm or Sergio Garcia in the 4-hole playoff. So
yeah.
I guess I don't understand the argument how it could possibly be bad for the sport. If
based off the talk, again, when people were kind of like forced into the position to actually watch it, I think a lot of people did watch it, and a lot of people had comments about the amount of people going through and like talking about like their emotions about what they were feeling throughout it on Sunday on the internet. It was like a lot of people were like, I don't know how this makes me feel. There's music, there's people having a seemingly good time, it's beautiful weather. I don't know.
But if you take away the music and the weird 1997 MTV graphics, I would bet even like the most staunch golf fan wouldn't know. If in like a dreamland, if you could change the channel, they wouldn't know. You're watching a PGA Tour event, and then it cuts, and then it comes back, and it's John Rahm, and they're playing on beautiful course in Mexico. Nobody would know because it's the same sport.
Yeah, I think so. Moving on to the 2-putt, which is the last 2 thoughts of the podcast before we're getting to the 19th hole. Pete, what are your last 2 thoughts here?
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Chubbs, Carl Weathers, one of the best.
R.I.P. Carl Weathers. You gave us so much and didn't even know.
Carl Weathers died this past week. He was the actor who had a number of iconic roles. Apollo Creed. He's in the first Predator. He's a meme. Him shaking hands with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But for me, his best role was Chubbs Peterson, golf pro in Happy Gilmore.
Did he ever have a sports background? Was he a professional athlete?
He was, yeah. Played for the Raiders. 8 games. No statistics, but I imagine no statistics. I looked that up. He doesn't have a tackle, a sack, pass defense.
It was before they tracked, you know.
It was before sacks. I bet you 8 million sacks.
Well, they didn't track defensive sacks at that time.
Yeah, only offensive sacks.
Only offensive sacks.
But an athlete through and through. One of the most iconic golf characters, I think, ever, Chubbs Peterson. And I think anyone that's a fan of golf, anyone about our age, is a huge fan of Happy Gilmore and a huge fan of Chubbs. But with that being said, it brings me to my actual 2-putt point, which is in Happy Gilmore, Chubbs Peterson gifts Happy with a putter. That's the worst part of Happy's game. Drive the ball 500 yards every time, can't putt. Then he gets a putter that is like a hockey stick. And now you and I played golf a million times together. You've seen my putter. It looks like you would get it at an old, decrepit mini golf course. It has no grip. There's just a slight bit of grip.
I thought you invested. Oh, you got new irons, right? You did not get any putter. You elected against the out of all the clubs, no putter.
You and I were on the same team in a scramble last summer, and I think we were like 5 under through 4 holes. That putter was hitting some big putts. So my question is, why would anybody pay? You're a better golfer than me. You know more than I do. What does a putter even do? Why would you pay?
Puts the ball in the hole. It's simple. It really just puts the ball in the hole. So I think, like, going back to whatever works, yeah, puts the ball in the hole.
That's a good point.
So, I think that's whatever works for you, Pete. If it's working, if it's not broke, don't change it. Keep it going.
But you're not answering the question though. Maybe
there was no question there. You just started talking about your putter.
Well, I'm asking, does it even matter if you have a good?
And the answer is no. Like I said, what it does is if it puts the ball in the hole, puts the ball in the hole. You can't argue with that. That's the whole purpose of the club.
So I'm going to ask our subscriber and the listeners, why would you pay any money for a putter?
All right. If you got any comments on that, please comment in the comment section. Why would you pay any money for a putter when you simply get it at your local estate sale, which is hosted by Mini Golf?
I think you could tie a Domino's pizza box, have to be stiff, to like a stick, and as long as it feels good, like I get what a driver does, or a good 3 wood.
I don't know if the LIV Golf League has any specific specifications on what a putter actually is, but I'm gonna go ahead and task you to pull that up for next week's episode, so that you can actually articulate why you can't just roll up cardboard and wrap it with duct tape and use it as a putter. That's your to do. That's all you have to do.
I'll do that.
Kind of going back to the Chubbs thing, and I wanted to ping this idea off of you because again with his passing, boy, that hit home. A lot of people teary-eyed all weekend. But we have to move on, and as I was moving on, I was thinking, you know what? Happy Gilmore is very similar to the current environment around professional golf. I feel like Happy Gilmore himself is the golf league. As far as LIV Golf goes, is Happy Gilmore, and I kind of feel like prior to his release of kind of coming around, allowing players to come back, kind of saying bygones behind bygones, like Rory and other players. But since he was the face of it for so long, Rory kind of being like a Shooter McGavin type, Happy being LIV Golf, and Jay Monahan of the PGA being like Doug, who's I assume the owner of the league, that whatever league Happy Gilmore is playing in. If you know the answer to that, please comment below. But at the same time, Jay Monahan being Doug, and where Shooter McGavin is saying like, what are we going to do about this, Doug? He goes, he goes, yeah, well, everybody seems to be coming around. And he's like, well, yeah, well, I'm not Doug.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be like a lot of the players for a little while. But now everyone seems to be kind of coming around. Of course, Jay Monahan has his own reasons as to why he's coming around, but maybe we'll have him on the podcast and we'll talk about that. But that was, as I was thinking about Chubbs, I was like, you know what, it was relevant then, and it's relevant now.
Yeah, it holds up, and I think Rory is shooting again, and he's like one of the best players. He's a tough guy to like. He's got a lot of questions.
I love Rory McIlroy. I think for how do you approach it a little differently? Yes, I think how we all approach it a little differently. Yes, I think we're all just we're just breaking it down. We're all just human. You go at it. You have an initial reaction. Sometimes you let that reaction out, and you just got to reel it on back. He's just in the reeling back phase right now. Which I get.
Good for him.
He's got people that handle that. He's doing just fine. This next section of the podcast is called the 19th hole, where Pete and myself, Colby, are supposed to get personal about our golf game.
I got
kind of
one.
Send us off. Send us everybody off into thinking about something that they can improve.
I am playing at a simulator on Saturday.
Oh boy.
How do we feel? I think it's worse for my golf game. I don't think it helps. I think it not only doesn't help, it's like actively bad. But I'm still gonna do it.
Your golf game is actively bad. I think the best part about going into a simulator, and please comment if you're listening into the comment section about how you feel about this, but it's again very, very similar. People, I think, again, bringing it back to LIV, people that go to an indoor simulator and have a really good time and understand it's a simulator. It's going to be completely different when you go outside. You're there to enjoy yourself. So take big old swings. Take big old swings at that. See if you can put it through the screen.
I like to hit the driver on every shot.
Yeah, I would. The second thing that I would also say, just to make it more fun, is to try and limit puttings to an absolute minimum. Like chip, don't putt. Putting, I mean, it's fun when you get it in. Don't get me wrong, but it's also very difficult and frustrating.
What about you? Must have something
coming up. Going to San Antonio in April. Very excited about. I think what I really need to do is get some off-season dryland training as far as closing my hands. I got to get rid of this slice off the driver. I felt like last season I was kind of able to get my irons fairly dialed in. My putting was very consistent, but the driver is something that kills me. So I really got to get control of the big dog and kind of just hone it in.
And how do we feel about, because we're going to San Antonio together. I've been told if you're playing in these desert type places, dry, you don't want to bring your own clubs, because when you go out of bounds, you're basically hitting off rocks and sand.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it, but
you gotta throw away 7-iron from an old bag or something lying around. Or speaking of old bags, I got an old bag in the basement right now. Need to get rid of that thing. But at the same time, yeah, if you got an old 7-iron, please bring that along. Just keep it in the bag. You're gonna want it. You can use it for short approaches, long. I mean, maybe find yourself, right off the tee box, right in the desert. You want to be able to whip that thing out and just let it rip, not worry about the consequences whatsoever.
I know.
So yeah, that's exciting. Hopefully, we have some good weather. Not going to shy away from that emphasis, which is entirely the theme of the outing, but pretty exciting as to the squad we have out there. All sorts of different folks with different jokes.
Heck of a good squad. You get a full team of Saratoga guys. I got one Wakefield guy, and we have one or two just mystery guys. And I think that's like one of the best and worst parts of golf. You get paired up with a random guy.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good time. Looking forward to that. So yeah, just really, I mean, I'm using that as the marking point. Like, I want to get to comfort with my drive. If I can feel okay with my irons, putting should hopefully help me along the way. I'm going to have a good time. But again, I'm not going to go out there hoping to break the course record. Where's the first tee and what's the course record? I'm not going to have that kind of mentality. So just go out there, have a good time, which I think.
We never played these courses, so we're really not going to know the course record. It's probably pretty good.
We're actually gonna probably ask that question. Where's the first team? What's the course record? Just because we're curious, not because we're looking to like
You're just
beat the
seeing
course record. Yeah, just it would be interesting to know that. Yeah, we probably should ask that question. All right, we'll cut that in post, but at the same time, we're gonna ask that question.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think very excited. I mean, upcoming obviously, but looking ahead, Las Vegas this week is going to be pretty incredible. Obviously, hosting the National Football League Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Pete, if you really want to unload about that situation, I don't know if there's that much time in this podcast briefing about it, but you're having LIV event and the Super Bowl, and like some of the pre-Super Bowl coverage this week has been out of control. It seems like there's a ton of people, there's a ton of money, there's a ton of sports gambling going on. You have obviously these two events happening. It'd be pretty sweet if you planned it ahead of time, do a little golf Super Bowl combo.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, LIV is also conscious of this, and they're starting their tournament tomorrow, February 8th, on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not taking up obviously Sunday. So you have conscious decisions like that in one of the busiest cities in the world, literally right now. You got T Swift coming to town.
Hopefully not, but it's a smart move by LIV. My prediction is that something bad is going to happen. There's so much money. There's a lot of professional athletes. Don't be surprised if next week either our 2-putt or the tee shot big story of the day is something awful has happened.
We should do kind of like a full-on citywide coverage of Las Vegas to see what great police blotter stories come out of this weekend. There's going to be some good ones, and they're all going to be in Monday's newspaper. So please tune in near you. But I think that's really all that we had to cover in today's podcast of how we live. I want to go ahead and thank everybody out there for tuning in. Want to thank my co-host Pete McCoubrey for making time and keeping all the lights off in his apartment. And I want to thank all of our fans and make sure that you go ahead and like, subscribe, and please comment to some of the questions we asked out to the community. More feedback we get from you all, the better the show becomes. So thanks again. Be safe out there.
Thanks, everyone.